I'm pretty sure many of you know who Ross Strauss is. He's probably one of the biggest art YouTuber. He's known for his fun and wholesome way of explaining his painting process, sometimes even featuring his family and friends. He's also known for his over-the-top paintings. Not gonna lie, he's one of the reasons why I wanted to start YouTube. In January of 2025, a user by the name of Phoenix Soul, or Fen, released a 20 pages document of allegations against Ross. There's a written response to that document, followed by a video response, and a 53 pages response to those responses. So let's talk about that. The two main allegations in Fen's 20-page document are Ross's AI usage and not paying people. I will link all the docs in the description so you can read it all by yourself. Other allegations include plagiarism, mistreating his own dog Milo, going on a questionable mental health treatment, and racism. Speaking of racism, I heard some people actually attacked Sam Does Art because they think Sam is Ross. Seriously, we're still doing all Asians look the same bit. By the way, I'm trying to cover as much as I could in this one video, but if I miss anything, please let me know in the comments. So who is Fen? Who is Phoenix Soul? At the start of the document, Fen introduced himself as an active member in Ross's community, until eventually Ross asked them to help in convention, help him learn CSP, asking for their feedback on projects. By the way, I'm using they/them pronouns for Fen because I don't know their preferred pronoun. So, Fen helped Ross in two conventions, Lightbox 2023 and Anime Expo or AX 2024, where the not paying people problems started to become obvious. You've probably seen the Discord conversations between Fen and Ross. It's literally everywhere on the internet. And let me just say, whether you're the giver or the receiver of a monetary payment, you should not beat around the bush or joke around when it comes to money. And that's exactly what these two did. I'll show the screenshot so you can judge for yourself, but there is no clear, serious conversation about payment. All talks about money are being said jokingly, as you can tell from the LOLs and LMAOs. I know money is a sensitive topic and some people are uncomfortable talking about it, but I think it's better to be uncomfortable for a little bit than let it all explode later. And come on, you've seen the screenshots. They're equally, if not more uncomfortable than just straight up talk about money. Sure, there's power imbalance because Ross has a huge audience, but if he's a reasonable person, he would still hear you out and negotiate until you find a fair middle ground. And if not, well, fans should really ask themselves if Ross really the person they want to work with. So, Fen did get paid for AX 2024, but only after raising some concerns when a first-timer local got paid minimum wage for helping out in the convention with no question. Fen already had convention experience, so maybe they expected more money than this local. Also, Ross allegedly provided lodging for Fen, but not for the local hire because they're a local, they don't need any housing. Ross also allegedly offered to introduce Fen to his network instead of paying Fen more money. First of all, this is such a bad idea, but especially in conventions. Ross is a big creator. Of course, there will be swarm of fans surrounding him and he would prioritize interacting with his fans rather than, networking fan. And apparently, that's what happened. Second of all, never offer or accept exposure as a form of payment. Okay? It's just a recipe for a disaster. The other big allegations is Ross's use of AI. Fans showed examples of Ross's new project featuring this boy character and the painting of Alphonse from Fullmetal Alchemist. I don't really get the Alphonse one, but some of the boy drawings do look influenced by AI. Especially this one. Looks like his face got a different skin tone from the rest of the drawing. Also, this cropped out picture over here, it oddly has a very hyper realistic rendering. Also this one, like most AI usually have a very sharp and clear lighting, but take it with a grain of salt. There's also this painting of the boy character when you scroll down through the documents. Feels like it has some AI influence. especially the backgrounds. That's just my opinion. I don't know when these drawings came out, but I think Ross was experimenting with AI back in 2022. So right before his long hiatus and just before coming back to social media, he allegedly asked fans about the public sentiment surrounding AI, presumably so he can come out with the fact that he's indeed using AI for some of his projects. By the way, Ross is using or was using, hopefully, so he's using Midjourney. There's proof of that. If you randomly find an image on Pinterest that turns out to be AI, but you find it inspiring and want to do an art study on it, I think that scenario is still okay. And people should not shame you on that because the image is already there. You're just scrolling through Pinterest and then you happen to find it, right? But to deliberately use and pay generative AI like Midjourney, and as a professional artist no less, it boggles my mind. Like, Ross, you know you can draw, right? What's the point of using Midjourney? You can draw. Right below the AI allegation, fan is commenting on Ross's new character called Hollow, saying that there's no meaning behind his scars and eyes, that they were just added by Ross because it looks cool. They also pointed out Ross's self-insert character, Flip, from his Nima project, who has a passion for cooking and has a cat, while Ross is nothing like that. Maybe there's some truth to this, but I don't know, this just feels like personal jabs because at the end of the day, they're Ross's own OCs. He can design them however he wants, even if just adding some motifs so it looks cool. But a more serious allegation is Ross plagiarizing his friend Beezle. Keep this name in mind because it will show up again later in the video. So to summarize, Beezle has a decade-long retro-themed project where the main character is called The Kid, and the Kid character is a younger version of Beezle with eye and mouth motifs all over the design. Ross allegedly started adding those same motifs and retro themes to his project, which also features a younger version of himself, like the boy character. And this boy character is also called The Kid. Coincidence? Additionally, fan has an OC called Icarus, and when Ross learned about this, allegedly, he decided to make a project called Icarus. How do you make so many projects? Other accusations include Ross being a bad dog owner, allegedly yelling at his dog Milo in a very angry tone, and not giving him any toys. Which, if it's true, that's just horrible, man. And also questioned Ross's mental health retreat. Like, is it legit? But I don't really want to get into that. It just doesn't feel right for me to comment on other people's mental health and healing process. Anyway, Ross also had allegedly seated people at dinner by race. What in the actual fuck? Okay, I wasn't in the room with them, but if that really happened, what's the freaking point of that? Ross, come on. Anyway, Ross has a female character in his book with dark skin tone and blue afro, and she was fans' favorite. But over time, Ross changed her features to be more Eurocentric and lighten her skin tone. I'm gonna show you the comparison of this character before and after the redesign. I mean, sure, she's Ross's own OC and Ross can redesign her however he wants. But I think if you're creating a character as a representation for a group of people, I think you should be more careful if you want to do a redesign. After Fan's 20 pages document was out and the art community went ballistic to the point of attacking another Asian guy, Ross responded with a document of his own, but only addressing the AI allegation. He admitted that in 2022, he started exploring AI as a creative tool. At the time, Ross claimed that he wasn't fully aware of the negative effects of AI, be it from the ethical standpoint and also environmental, and he only saw it as a fun experimental tool. This continued until his return to social media in 2024. Let me remind you that Ross took a long hiatus at the end of 2022 to focus on his mental health and well-being. Ross also claimed that out of 600 plus artworks he created over the span of 16 years, only 5 have AI influence. He also claimed that In his newest book project, there was some AI influence in the concepting phase, but he removed it soon after. So the final result is it's all him. Okay, there's no AI included. After releasing this document, Ross remained silent. He keeps posting art like usual, he introduced his new cat, but nothing is being said about the other allegations until April 5th. Ross posted a video sharing his side of the story. About 4 minutes in, he talks about who is Fan from his perspective. So, Fan is an active member in the art community, especially Ross's. They often liked and commented on Ross's posts, and it continued to the DMs, which Ross responded to. I don't know how it starts initially, but Fan would message him daily with like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and so on and so forth every single day. And when Ross happened to be in Fan's area, they say something along the lines of, "Oh, you're in the area, you buy me dinner," or something like that. This screenshot makes me uncomfortable. Maybe there's more context about their actual dynamics, but if Fan is really just a fan and sends something like that, that's kind of creepy. If someone who's not a close friend or family sends something like that to me, I would be terrified. I would block and report that person. Ross said in his video that he doesn't want to put up a wall between him and his fans, and that he tried to challenge the content creator and audience boundaries, which is a recipe for disaster. You know what it creates? It creates parasocial relationship. And in a parasocial relationship, nobody wins. You need to have a clear boundaries as a content creator. Like, okay, here's the topic I'm comfortable discussing. Here's the amount of interaction that I'm comfortable having with my audience. And this is how much of myself I want to share. Once you blur these boundaries, well, doesn't look pretty, does it? Don't get me wrong, I like interacting with you guys, especially on streams. That's because I'm comfortable showing this side of myself to you guys. But the other side of myself off camera, that's reserved for my close friends and families. That might sound like disingenuous, but it's like you're okay with drinking until you're wasted in front of your best friend, but not in front of your mom. That is such a bad example and too extreme, but you get the point, right? Long story short, Ross posted an IG story asking for help with a convention in LA. Fan DM'd him offering he could fly out and asked Ross if he could house them. I'm gonna put up the screenshots of their entire exchange, but right off the bat, Ross replied with, "Fine, you can sleep on my couch," even though he wasn't sure yet about hosting Fan. And from there, Ross is trying to backtrack, but Fan keeps pushing. And as an outsider looking in, their messages is kind of manipulative. Like, okay, for example, Ross, at this point, we've known each other for 2 years. You should understand wanting to do big things for your career. And haven't I been your biggest supporter, your cheerleader, your voice of reason? Besides, do you really want some random stranger on Instagram interacting with you and your team? Or me, who knows you and your team? Have I given you a reason to regret anything I do? I wouldn't be here if you didn't trust me. You can let me know what you think of these messages. So Ross admitted he never finalized any payment for Fan in AX 2024. He originally considered hiring Fan for Comic-Con as well, which was 2 weeks after AX, meaning Fan would stay in Ross's house for an entire month. Ross later decided to hire locals that donate housing instead, so he would only host Fan during AX. Ross also stated that whenever he asked Fan to help at conventions, he would always provide lodgings. Ross then claimed that he did pay Fan and showed proof, but any serious talks about payment didn't happen until after Fan flew to LA. Wow. Remember Beezle, Ross's friend who Fan claimed got plagiarized? So apparently, Ross went to Japan with Beezle, where he told Beezle about his The Kid project. Beezle doesn't look too happy about it because of the similarity to their own project. And if both Ross and Beezle came out with their own projects with a similar vibe, with the same character name, Ross's audience would attack Beezle, thinking that they copied Ross. That is a valid thing to be worried about, especially because Ross has a huge audience. So after talking about it with Beezle, Ross decided to change his character name, so the boy wouldn't be called the kid. They hugged it out, and Ross thought it was over, that they're chill again. They're even messaging casually the day before Fan's document got out. So Ross was very surprised when the doc came out and Beazle took part in it or supported the documents, I guess. I don't know what Beazle's role in the docs exactly, because the exact word Ross used was dog piling on this. Dog piling on the document. I don't know what that means. Okay, I'm Indonesian. Unfortunately, there is no clear ending yet to this plagiarism allegation. Ross also addressed more personal allegations, namely the mistreating of his dog Milo and his mental health treatment. Ross showed that Milo actually has a lot of dog toys. He just cleaned them up when Fan was staying over, so his house is not full of dog toys. Ross did not address the yelling though. The mental health retreat Ross went to is called the Hoffman Process. I don't know what that is, and I don't think I need to research what Hoffman Process is. Ross learned about it from his peers who experienced great results, so Ross decided to try it. He was upset because the way Fan and Beazle portrayed it sounds very negative. Again, I don't want to comment on other people's healing process and mental health. If it helps you to find peace, then go for it. As long as it's not illegal in your country or state, I guess. There's a part in Ross's video that I found interesting. So apparently, Fan sent Ross unsolicited 16-point remarks on how he should improve himself. What? It is blurred in Ross's video, but I got the unblurred version from Fan's second document, which we will get into later. But Fan, really? One time, I got in a fight with my dad because he tried to pull this shit on me, but it was verbal and not 16 points. But still, we got into a fight because of it. Imagine getting this from someone you know from the internet. Anyway, the points are quite long. You can read it on the docs yourself, but I will try to summarize each point. 1. Ross kept cutting Fan off when they say something he doesn't want to hear. Point 2. I cannot summarize this because I don't quite understand what it means, so I will just read you the full version. Your download, "We're here to support you, everything is for you," is so problematic because this is not true. I am very spiritual, I believe in all the woo, but if you don't stay grounded, you verge on spiritual psychosis territory. Yeah, you guys can let me know what that means. 3. Ross dropped Fan for Comic-Con when they brought up payment. 4. Ross justified going to dinner with Redacted because this person loves Ross and it will generate good karma. Again, not sure what that means. 5. Ross compares himself to Kim Jong-gi. If you don't know Kim Jong-gi, he's like a legendary artist. Anyway, Ross compares himself to Kim Jong-gi when his work is nothing compared to the late artist. 6. Ross keeps trying to break the mold and pushing for big milestones, causing him to burn out. 7. Ross dropped the Nima project without a clear reason, even though it was his baby and is important to him. Now that you mention it, I feel like I'm seeing less and less of Nima lately. 8. Ross assumes he was known for his OCs and world building, but he's not. He's known for his fan arts. Okay, this just feels like a personal jab. 9. Ross changed the design of his OC to be more Eurocentric. The female character with dark skin and blue afro. 10. Ross's dislike of Sam. Wait, what? Ross doesn't like Sam? Thought you guys were twins. I'm sorry. That was a bad joke. I'm sorry. Anyway, Ross doesn't like Sam because he was threatened by Sam's success and the fact that he's also Asian and had similar OC. Ross hoped Sam isn't gay so he could at least have the gay thing. Point 11 is blank for some reason, maybe it's too personal. 12. Ross did not network Fan like he promised. 13. Ross was genuinely mad when Fan brought up payment at AX, but offered to pay someone else without a second thought. 14. Ross almost gave Fan's phone number to somebody without Fan's consent. 15. Ross cut off Fan's feedback on why his print sales are not doing well. 16. Ross tuned Fan out very easily, possibly because Fan doesn't have a big following or a successful business. Well, What do you guys think? I think some points are valid, especially the last 5. However, point 8, where Ross assumed he was known for his OCs, it feels too personal, especially if you read the full sentence. But either way, fan, maybe you mean well, but this is just not it, dude. This method is not it. Even the closest of families or the best of friends can be broken if you pull this shit up. Imagine this coming from someone you know from the internet. Ross did mention the AI allegations briefly, but it's essentially the same as his document response. He just added that he deleted any post related to AI out of fear of witch hunt. I get that. Maybe you guys can share your opinion in the comments, but I think we should call out people who deliberately use AI, but not to the point of like putting them on a stake and burning them in public. Metaphorically, of course. Because it's just making it harder for these people to come out honestly about their use of AI. Most artists who are caught or being open about using AI, well, their career is just... I think we should align our goal. And it's not to make these people lose their job or career, but it's to make them admit honestly that yes, they indeed use AI. It was a stupid decision to make and they will not touch AI again moving forward. I just think it's a nicer goal. Ross closed the video by apologizing to fans and that he wants to move on and focus his energy on creating art and content, just like before. After Ross's video response, fan came out with 53 pages document to respond to Ross's responses. That's a lot of response. In the document, fan made a clarification of who they really are. And it makes me question who really is fan. So the vibe I got from Ross's video is that fan is just an internet acquaintance, right? Someone who's just an active member of his community and helped him on conventions. That's all, right? Well, fans showed a photo of them hanging out with Ross and a group of friends at Ross's house after AX 2022. They also claim to have been a part of Ross's inner circle since 2020. So they've known Ross for a couple years. And their relationship is more than just an internet acquaintance. They also showed screenshots of their interactions on Discord. Fan even hosted Among Us game session for Ross and his community. And the two even had a lengthy conversation about spiritual beliefs. This is quite different from what Ross is portraying in his video. And do you remember that day 1, day 2, day 3 thing with the dinner question on Instagram? Well, apparently it was a reference to Ross's old video where a fan DM Ross every day for a year on Instagram, and Ross painted that fan's OC as a reward, which is again parasocial relationship. Allegedly, Ross told fan that he has some gay characters and will reveal them all if fan DMs him every day for a year, like in that video. What? This is further backed up by the screenshots where Ross responded like, "You're getting close and you can resume where you left off when fan misses a day." I rewatched Ross's video and realized that he only showed this one screenshot without any context. And anyone else who saw it was like, holy shit, that's some crazy fan. I think this is what really happened. Call it amateur deduction, whatever. I think this is what happened. So, fan started out as a regular fan who actively interacts with Ross. Ross, who's trying to blur the boundaries between creator and audience, responded positively to fan and even welcomed them to his circle. And Ross is thinking that maybe, and this is Ross's words, okay, not mine, maybe him and fan can be friends IRL. But perhaps at some point, for whatever reason, Ross started to feel uncomfortable with fan. Maybe he just wanted fan as an internet acquaintance. So when Ross made a video response, he downplayed their actual relationship. Maybe intentionally, maybe not, we don't know. I've seen the comment section on his video and also Sam's video. People are calling fan a stalker, obsessed fan, someone with psycho energy, and all the colorful words. To be fair, some of fans' messages were manipulative and obsessive like the 16 points thing. That's definitely not okay. But at the same time, Ross failed to show his whole dynamic with Fan, which caused people who watched his video to get the vibe of Ross, the content creator, and Fan, the obsessed stalker fan. I'm sorry, Ross. I don't know your exact dynamic or relationship with Fan, but I don't think you're completely honest about it. Ross claimed that he has 5 artworks out of 600 that has AI influence. Well, apparently, Ross has been using Midjourney for a year and has 24,000 generated images left to delete. He also used some of these AI influence illustrations for sale. Ross, like, just be upfront, man. I know it's scary because how much people like to cancel and witch hunt these days, but like being caught hiding it just makes things so much worse. And I really need to call you out on this one. You used other artists' work to fit Midjourney? Even TB Choi's work? I thought TB Choi was your friend. Isn't she like one of the teacher in your digital art bootcamp or something? For God's sake, Ross. Listen, Ross, I don't want you to lose your career as an artist, but I truly hope you talk to this artist and make things right. Because this is just a very scumbag behavior. This is all very disappointing. There are more allegations being addressed in Fan's second document, but they're pretty much similar to what we've covered. Those 2 points about Ross's relationship with Fan and his use of AI were the most eye-opening. I will link everything in the description. You can read the whole thing there. Fan wrote in his second document that they will not make any more statements regarding the situation. They just want to move on and heal. At the end of the day, nobody is 100% in the right, and nobody is 100% in the wrong either. Both Fan and Ross made bad decisions to the point of creating this whole situation. I don't think both Ross and Fan will make another statement, but I do hope that they have a chance to at least meet up, sit down over coffee, and just talk about it, straighten things up. But if not, well, what can you do? This has been Fung News. Goodbye. God, look at my bald spot. Oh, I'm getting old.